Here we have the Interplanetary UFO Mystery Ship, Strategic Space Command model from AMT, otherwise known as the Leif Erikson. Okay, this is the third time I've done this model kit review. I lost both videos from previous attempts to do this. Alright, now, I built this kit as a kid. Same kit. Same almost exact kit, couple of minor differences, nothing major. As you can see, I pulled all the parts off of the apart trees and I've already started dry fitting everything. Directions, let's see, pretty simple, straightforward to follow directions. If you can read and follow instructions, you're not going to have a problem. If you're used to building 12500 snap together kits, you might have an issue. Decals. I don't remember all of these. I guess these are new from AMT. Great set of decals. I don't know that I'm going to use these. I've got some other ideas in mind, as always. This makes a great companion kit for the 1650, what do you call it? Tholian Web glow-in-the-dark Enterprise. So if you're going to get the Tholian Web, you might want to go ahead and get this. I recommend the kit. I like it. Don't have a problem with it. Not at all. It's going to take a little work. Not too much. May take a little putty. You might have to sand everything down, smooth everything out, come up with some kind of masking or something to make it look like there was never any putty used. That all depends on your imagination and skill set. Excellent, excellent model. Another great throwback to the 60s and 70s. Another baby boomer classic from AMT. Well, another repop anyway. Okay, once again, I want to show my good friend Schubert's 1/6 scale Captain Kirk figure. Why? Because he is totally remastering all of his 1/6 scale figures. This guy has got a brand new face and it looks just exactly like Captain Kirk. Can't wait to show you that. Now, I want you to see the detail on these little bitty 1/6 scale. Look at that. Look at that tricorder. 1/6 scale. Perfect representation of a Star Trek tricorder. He's got spare hands. He's got his phaser and communicator, which are also perfectly scaled, painted, and detailed. Nice, nice, nice. Now I'm showing this because he's coming out with all new kits, and I'm working on the 1/6 scale Nomad and several other projects to match these figures. So, if you want to know about accurate 1/6 scale figures for the original series Star Trek, The Next Generation, and everything else, please contact me and I will put you in touch with Schubert. Woohoo! This is the 1/650th Klingon D7. Klingon battle cruiser. Woohoo! Alright, I'm not going to take this out of the box because frankly I've got it up for sale. I bought this with a lot. I've already got one out in the garage. I don't need another one, so I'm getting ready to sell this. I'm not going to take it out of the plastic for that reason. I've already built about a half a dozen of these over the years. This kit from AMT originally was pantographed off of the full scale studio model. So this is studio accurate. A lot of people have pantographed this model and built a 1/350th version, myself included, so you can do it too. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in another video. How to pantograph a model, resize it and scale it, and build your own 1/350th or whatever size you like Klingon D7. Great kit. You got to have it. It's a must-have to go with the 650 Enterprise and or any of the other ships. Unlike the Romulan bird of prey at relatively the same scale, this is accurate. The Romulan bird of prey model that comes in this scale and the same scale as the 1/650 Enterprise is not accurate at all. Anyway, there you go. Okay, here we are with the 1/350th Original Series Enterprise, yet again. Okay, I'm making this video just to fill in a couple people on some things really quick. If you haven't built this already, this kit can be a pain in the ass. Here are the drawbacks. 1, the grid lines are excessively deep and should be filled. And I wouldn't even recut them. I'd just leave them to where there's a shadow. I'll show that in another video. The engineering hulls and the nacelles are at times, depending on the kit, warped. After you do the cleanup, you will have issues. If you get one of the early run kits, the paint guide is wrong, the directions have flaws. There are issues with this kit. I'm sorry, but I feel like I've got the right to tell the truth after I got raked over the coals when I tried to put one out 8 years ago. Now, this makes for a great kit. I've seen people use the original model base that comes with this. I won't use the original model base because it's too flimsy to last over a period of time. There's too small of a base, too small of a diameter, too flimsy of plastic to support the weight over a length of time. I'm sorry, I just don't trust it. I always build a custom base with these things. I'm in the middle of 3 builds, and this is my kit. I just essentially sold this to a build for a friend. So you will see more of this, as well as Jack's build up and Mark's build up. I've been working for weeks trying to get caught up after a long spring and summer of doing repairs. So you're going to see a whole lot more of the original series ships coming up real soon, like right now. Alrighty then, let's see. I want to do a quick review and assessment of where I'm at on these projects right now. I'm scheduling out my day's work, so here we go. Alright, on the Ares, all the main parts are primed, painted, and ready for detail. I need to add the RCS thrusters to the main body parts and start some assembly. I'm not going to do that today. I've been trying to work out exactly how the landing gear goes together, because I don't want to start gluing everything together and find out that something is even remotely wrong. So I'm waiting on that until I hear back from Scott Alexander. I've got most of the interior, the main hull, interior chairs painted or primed, painted with a base coat, ready for me to do some cleanup and then go over with the final coat. That's easy. I waited to do the interior until I get some more information on that, but I'm going to go ahead and prime and prep these parts at some point, probably not today. I've cleaned out all the recesses for the main thrust nozzles for each one of these main engines. I've got the main engines all painted up and ready to go inside. I've got some of the primer paint and detail done on the main engine bodies and the base plate, the bottom plate, what have you. I'm probably going to go ahead and prime and paint some of the interior components per research I've done on screen captures. These are for the thrust nozzles. I've got the main housing for the RCS thrusters. They're already painted and detailed, ready to be glued into the main body. I've got to fill in some air bubbles in several places on the main interior ring before I prime and paint that. Let's see. All right, this is the stairs where the lady comes out of the elevator and brings Dr. Haywood Floyd his chow. Now, there's no way to light this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out each one of those flats so that I can put lights back here. I'm not going to do that today, but I wanted to be prepared. I want to have some of this painted and ready to go before I start rigging lighting. On the not Aries projects, as you can see here, I've been working on the 1/6 scale Nomad. I've got it just about ready to go into silicone. I've also got this ready to go into silicone. I'm going to be doing some molding and casting today. I'm also working on Lance's refit, Jack's original series, Mark's original series. I've got the feet for the landing gear painted or primed, but I need to go over each one of these and smooth some areas out. Other than that, the Aries is coming along. I haven't really done anything on it for a few days because I've been worrying over the electronics for Lance's refit. But I've got to get some molding and casting done today, so I'm probably going to be making some mold boxes and making some molds and doing some more work on Lance's refit, and then do a little bit on this, some priming, painting, and base coat. And I think that's going to be it for most of the day today. Do some more work on the Nomad, and I've got the full scale Nomad out in the garage. I haven't shown it for a while. So that's where we're at today. Okay, here's another Captain Quirk quickie. Here we go. Okay, you see this yellowish resin? All right, I painted all of this with a satin semi-gloss white enamel. Now I'm going to go over this all one more time inside the elevator or whatever shaft that is, inside the main deck. I'm going to go over that one more time with some flat white. Now in here you have a decal that goes in here, so you want that gloss. So I'm going to hit this with some more semi-gloss satin. I'm going to mask everything off, shoot it with black, remove the masking, tape around this, hit it with some clear, apply the decal, and have this ready to go. Boom, boom. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3, anybody can do it. This is an Aries 1B main engine exhaust shroud. Okay, now I've already shot it with some black at one angle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot it with some gray at another angle, let that dry, then shoot the whole thing with a light coat of flat white. Be right back. Okay, now I've shot it with some gray. We'll let that dry. It takes about 15 minutes. Then I'm going to shoot it with some flat white. All right. Okay, now there's the flat white. Now see, you've already got some shading and some detail popping out because you've hit a couple of different colors at different angles, at different levels. So you can see, especially if I block the light, you've got some different leveling going right there. Now when this is fully dry, as with the rest of them, what I'll do is I'll lightly hit this all around with some sandpaper, then scrape a couple of places. Then I'll go over it with a couple of light washes and scrape anywhere where it connects with the glue surface for the item that it glues to, so that I've got a good clean connection. I can get a mechanical chemical bond, and then I'll go over it with a couple of light washes. So you got a real easy way of making some really fine looking detail. Look what we have here. Oh my. Well, we've got the Enterprise D again. 1400 Enterprise D from AMT, IE, PL2R2, whatever, POS, repop. And look at all those beautiful toys. Well, my good friend that contracted me to build this for him bought some extra Go Fasters. Look at here. We've got some nice transparent blue power engines or strips for lighting from DLM. We've got some brass from DLM, some detail and or phaser strips from Don's Light and Magic. We've also got the little brass thingy that you have to core out part of the model to lay your wires, and this covers the wires. Another detail part used specifically for lighting from DLM. We've got the other clear parts, the captain's gig and window indent section, 10 forward window bays, etc. We've got the cast in color Bussard collectors for the nacelles, and we've got a complete set back here of masks for painting. Now, I don't have a problem showing other people's products. Doesn't bother me a bit. And DLM, Don, always does such a fine job with the directions. He's just done better and better all the time. I've used a couple of DLM's kits off and on for years for different things until I started making my own. But again, I don't have a problem showing other people's products and or work. In fact, I show other people's work all the time because I'm not insecure in that way. I don't have a problem showing what other people do. If it's brilliant, I'm going to show it. I don't care who does it. Now, got a complete set of DLM parts, full color directions, masks. Now I'm going to be making my own Windows masks, as I stated before, and going to be making masks and decals for the escape pods. Woohoo! Now, this is an awesome set. I'm not going to discuss the price. I didn't have to pay for it. It's not an issue. This is what my friend wanted, so that's what I'm going to do. But I wanted to make sure to show this exactly for what it is. Now here's a clear Bussard collector, and you can clearly see that all you're going to need with these two parts are going to be some super bright white LEDs. You don't have to have blue and red. You don't have to worry about the difference between the current flow, etc., etc., etc. So, great job on all the parts, Don. Thank you, Shu, for sending me the stuff to make your model even more brilliant, because I just don't have the time to do all of this here myself. It would drastically increase the cost of doing the build-up. So there we go. Don's Light and Magic. Whoa! Looky here. I got some more toys in the mail today. Woohoo! My good buddy Alan Thompson, who's building a 1-to-1 scale work bee off of my card model plans, which I absolutely love. Anyway, Alan was sending me, was showing me some pictures of his Pirate Delta, which I thought was just cool, cool, cool. So I told him, I said, wow, that's really cool. I really like the design. So what's he do? He sends me a couple. Pro bono. So I got this cool Command Delta with the pirate crossbones, which is just cool. He hand painted this one. Nice job, Alan. And he sent me a blank one to paint for myself. Woohoo! He also sent me one of his stickers, and you're gonna love this, some henna tattoos. I got the Command Delta. It looks like Sean Tarango's Mirror Universe symbol and a couple of Klingon symbols. So if I ever want to go to a convention and look really cool, I can wear my Klingon tattoo. Alrighty then. Thompson Shipyards. TSY. Thompson Shipyards. Woohoo! Alrighty then. Okay, not only do I build the models, do my own electronics, design my own electronics, but I design my own cabinets and model bases as well. So I'm going to take this opportunity really quick to show you the basics of how to use a square and how to mark and cut a piece for your own cabinet. Now, what you're going to need is basically either a carpenter's pencil or a number 2 pencil. Here we go. And either a pocket knife or a steak knife to trim the pencil. Now, here's how you use a square. There's an inside scale and an outside scale, as you can see here. Now, I want this to be 12 by 14, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the inside scale right up to the corner. I want it to be 14 inches long, so I'm going to come up here with my pencil and mark a spot just on the other side of the actual 14-inch mark. Now, I want to flip that square over, and I want to come over 12 inches from the end. So, let's see. 1, 2, see. I want to bring it right up to the factory edge. I want to mark right on the 12 on the outside scale. Now that I've done that, I can move it up a few inches, make sure I'm along the factory edge, mark it right on the 12, do that again 3 or 4 times, off the factory edge, on the 12, back up. Okay, I'm right here at my 14-inch mark, so I'm going to go just below that, get on my factory edge, mark my 12, flip the square over on the flat side, align all 4 parts, and mark. Now I've got a straight line for my 12-inch mark, coming 12 inch from the factory edge over, and then up here I've got my 14-inch mark. I want to lay the factory edge right along the side here and mark for my 14. So I've got a good clean mark for my 12 by 14 piece of wood that is going to be the base for the 1/25th scale Guardian gate diorama. So there's a quick lesson on using a square. Now I'm going to cut this up and cut up another piece for the bottom. Then I've got to go and do some more work on Lance's refit again. Oh my, what do we have here? We have a 1/6 scale, studio accurate Nomad. And it's going to have lights and sounds. And my good friend Elliot Brown made the brass work for me. Hoo-hoo! Now this is getting closer every day to going into silicone and becoming a product for you. Yes, you behind the grape stand. You can't have any pudding if you don't eat your meat. All right. Anyway, got a 1/6 scale Nomad. This is getting ready to go into silicone. When it gets out of silicone, I'm going to be molding it in clear and running the electronics. There will be a jack up through the bottom. We'll have lights and sounds, and this is going to be shipped out as a demo to a friend of mine who literally was the one that inspired me to do the construction on it. I've also got the 1-to-1 Nomad out in the garage, but I haven't done anything with it for a while. It's been a wee bit too cold, and I've had a lot of other products and projects that I've had to work on. But I want to thank everybody for all of their input. I really appreciate it on everything. Thank you. And look forward to a clear cast 1/6 scale Nomad. I am perfect. I am Nomad. Now, let's hear it straight from Nomad's own voice.
I am Nomad. My function is to probe for biological infestations, to destroy that which is not perfect. Insufficient response. It functions irrationally. I am Nomad. I am perfect. That which is imperfect must be sterilized. You are in error. You are a biological unit. You are imperfect. Creator, the unit Scott is a primitive structure. Insufficient safeguards built in. Breakdown can occur from many causes. Self-maintenance systems of low reliability. The knowledge banks of this unit have been wiped clean.
And there you have it. That's the Nomad circuit. Much more to come, as always. Take care, peace and long life. Keep on trekking. May the farce be with you, always. And here we are with the neck. Okay, I've been working on the torpedo circuit. I'm getting ready to run fiber optics up through and into the actual torpedo bays. But I wanted to take this time and set up the beauty lights. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to use a little bit of clay to position these lights in the position where they need to be. Then I'm going to epoxy them in place. They're going to go down through and into the engineering hull where they will be lit up. I'm going to be adding in here some of that long strip LED lighting on both sides. And then I'm going to attach the neck to the actual body and use a thin layer of putty down the back and around the front here to putty everything up, make it look good. Then I'm going to start doing some more work on the lower and upper primary hull with regards to the blinkies, etc. I want to get the engineering hull wrapped up as soon as I can so I can start assembly after testing the new circuits. I also want to have everything ready as much as possible for the upper and lower primary hull. So that's where we're at on the neck right now. You will see this again later. Moving on to the next refit thingy. All right, here are the 4 sections of the main engineering hull of the Polar Lights refit. This set of parts is literally from 4 different models. I had a friend of mine send me literally a case of models. He got so disgusted trying to do a good build on this ship that he just finally said to hell with it and sent me all of his parts and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this collection of rejects to create one complete engineering hull. In the meantime, I want to use it to do a couple of demonstrations. First of all, as you can see here, I've got some masking tape residue. I had all these parts masked together, and naturally they split and cracked, so I had to pull the masking tape off, and there was masking tape residue, as this had been out in the garage during the heat of the summer while I was working on a lawnmower engine. So as a result of the heat and humidity, the masking tape really stuck to the pretty pearl paint. So I wanted to show, as I showed once before, one way to get this off, which I don't have it handy, but is to use paper towels and or 70% rubbing alcohol or 90% rubbing alcohol, or you can buy 100% pure rubbing alcohol at your local hardware store and or Home Depot, etc. The stronger the alcohol, the more it pulls off the adhesive. Now, since this is enamel-based paint, the alcohol does not hurt the paint. In fact, even this pearl, this pretty pearl, does not get hurt by the alcohol. It's just getting that adhesive off. Now, another thing, quickly. I'm going to be working on Lance's refit. In fact, I'm working on it right now, but it's out in the garage. I'm going to be using these 12-volt pre-wired LEDs for beauty lights, and I want to make sure they're going to get shown exactly in the right position. So on Lance's refit, I opened up these 2 holes to give me a little room to maneuver the LEDs. I then held them in place with a little bit of clay and used some binary epoxy to epoxy them in place so that the beauty lights will show on the pylons like they do in the movie. At any rate, rubbing alcohol, great for getting adhesive off of plastic parts. Think about it, try it, check it out. All right, as I said earlier, I'm going to assemble. God, I hate this model. I mean, this thing is just such a friggin' nightmare. I'm going to assemble all of these parts, putty everywhere where it needs puttied, sand, smooth, shape, recut grid lines, and I'm going to attach the neck because I'm going to work it out where I never, ever have to go through this garbage with this engineering hull ever again. If I ever get another build on one of these SOBs, I'm going to have parts ready to go and not have to deal with this flippin' nightmare. You will see that soon. More to come. Keep on trekking. All right, I'm going to be doing some fine assembly on the upper and lower primary hull of the 1/350th refit build-up and model and base, electronics, etc., yada yada, that I've been working on for some time. But I wanted to touch a couple of things. I'm getting ready to run fiber optics up into the bridge so that we can have the blinkies. Also, I'm going to be scraping very carefully a section away on either side of the hatch so that when I light this from underneath and behind, you will see the two hatch lights that you see all over all the hatches on the refit in the movies. Now, I've already got this pre-painted and pearled and everything else, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, scrape the area where I'm going to glue it. I've already got the LED set for the forward beauty lights. I'm going to glue this down, let it set up, lightly sand on the connection points, tape everything off, shoot it with a light coat of primer, flat white and pearl, and then smooth everything together. So you will see that very soon. Now, on these lights, I bought a whole batch of these surface mount LEDs. These are really cheap. You can get these online on eBay, Amazon, wherever. Cheap, cheap, cheap. These are the non-waterproof type. They're a little cheaper than the waterproof. There at first, I started trying to make sure that I conserved as much of these lights as I could to expand them across several builds. And they're just getting so cheap, it's not even worth it. So from now on, except for in the neck and a couple of tight places, I'm going to be using long strips in the engineering hulls and in the pylons, because it's so much easier, saves so much time, so much less soldering. Now on here, as I showed before, there's a positive and negative on the top and the bottom. Make sure that you get that right when you solder the connections together. I showed in a previous video that yes, indeed, you can solder these together. I was a little concerned about it at first simply because there's like a plastic laminate over the top. But yeah, a soldering iron burns through that and the solder makes good connection, no problem. Now, these are impulse engine brass grills that I've painted flat black. This is my friend John's pattern and I have his permission to use them. And I'm going to be selling these pretty soon because they just make things go so much easier. All you've got to do is frost the impulse engine, cut these out, paint them flat black, put them in place, and you're done. And there's absolutely no light getting through the brass as opposed to, say, the decal. All right, you will see these in action soon, sooner and soonest. Okay, more to come on the refit. Whoa! Okay, more on the refit. Yes, again, I'm going to be doing some assembly. I've already done all the light blocking, etc. And I wanted to show these parts and show a couple of things. Now, if you look here, I painted the entire inside flat black. I wanted to light block this to the max, okay? Now, what I've done here is I painted everything flat black in more than one coat, so all I have to do is lightly scrape exactly where the parts are going to mate up. Now, I've already shot these pieces that go in the back here with some clear, transparent clear blue on the inside and a light coat of the light blue on the outside. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scrape off the appropriate areas, make sure I got them perfectly clean, then I'm going to mask and reshoot with a light coat of blue, insert those into the back of the shuttle bay deck, and I've already got a piece, the insert that goes here, painted candy apple red, several coats of candy apple red on the back of it. I'm going to insert that, that way I can just use super bright white LEDs here, here, and here. So that'll go right along with the other lighting that I showed earlier, boom, boom. You will see this later. Now, this is some of the brass that my good friend Elliot made up with John's patterns, so I'm not trying to take credit for somebody else's work. I'm getting ready to insert all of these into the pylons and move forward with some more of the build. So, there we go. Okay, here's a little something on painting and masking. I'm getting ready to paint these details for the nacelles for the 350 buildup for the second or third time. I've had these done a couple of times. Unfortunately, my cat seems to think that my toolbox is her toy box. She gets a hold of stuff and I have no idea where it goes. I guess one day I'll pull out a dresser or something and there will be all of my little model parts. All right, so I'm masking off the area where they're going to be glued into the nacelles. I'm going to go ahead and shoot this with some flat white, let it dry, then I'm going to hit it with some pearl. Then I'm going to paint the black details so that these are ready to start assembling the nacelles. So here we go again. Anyway, always mask off the areas where you're going to glue before you do any painting, so that when you assemble, you don't have to worry about scraping it off. Now you can do it either way. You can go ahead and paint everything and then scrape off the area where it's going to glue together, or mask first. I'm behind on this, so I went ahead and wasted some masking tape and I'm moving on it. There we go.